This is our last lesson in chapter 6. And instead of a system of equations, we're going to look at a system of inequalities. So this is going to be very similar to our first section where we learned to solve systems of equations through graphing. The difference is instead of a single point being the answer, we're going to have a whole region that will be our answer. And here's what I'm talking about. If you think about when we had something like x is greater than 3, we would graph that, putting an open dot on 3, and then shading it to the right. Because there's not just one number that works for. It's not x equals 3. It's x can be any number that's greater than 3. So there's a whole range of numbers. But when we have two variables like we have here, instead of just a range on a one-dimensional line, we're going to have a region on a two-dimensional two-dimensional region, yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Okay, so like we had in the system of equations, we want things to be in slope-intercept form, where the y is by itself on the left, then we have the x term and the constant. And just like that, once we are there, we start graphing by looking at the y-intercept. So this y-intercept is positive 2, so I put a point right there, positive 2. And my slope is 3x, so 3 over 1. Slope is 3, not 3x. Then you go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1. I'm going to repeat that, 1, 2, 3, and over 1. I'm also going to go the opposite way just to make sure I'm making this line as good as I can. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, over 1. Down 3, over 1. Down 3, over 1. Okay, and since it's greater than, we do a dotted line, not a solid line. We only do a solid line if it has an or equal to with it. And we can go ahead and test our points right now. So you remember we did single inequalities. We did this too. We had a test point where we usually use 0, 0 to figure out if we should graph it, or shade it one direction or the other. So just like before, I'll plug in 0, 0 for this top equation. We get 0 is greater than 2. I'm afraid that's not true. So that means the 0, 0 side is false. Now I'm just going to do a light shade just so I know what side it's on, because I'm going to have to graph this line also and see where it's shaded. Since we have two lines, we're going to find out where their shading overlaps. So let's graph this one and you'll see what I mean. The y-intercept is negative 5. The slope is negative 4. So I can go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and left 1, up 4, left 1, and so on. And we do a dotted line again, because it's just a less than, not an or equals to. So keep in mind, and you can use different colors if it helps you with this. We've already covered this line that's got the positive slope. That was the first line. So now we're focused on this second line that's our negative slope. So this says y is less than negative 4x minus 5. So if I plug in 0 for x, 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Plug in 0 for y, I get 0 is less than negative 5. That's true. This one was false. So we shaded opposite the 0, 0. This one is true. So we shade on the 0, 0 side. Sorry, I'm being very foolish here. Let me back up. Everything I said was good until I said 0 is less than negative 5. That is not true. So you make mistakes, I make mistakes, we're all humans. I apologize. 0 is not less than negative 5, which you probably knew and wondered why I thought so. So again, the 0, 0 side is false, so we would shade opposite. So I'm going to purposely shade kind of this direction so I can see where they overlap. Because really, when you have two lines, it creates 4 different regions. There's the region up top, there's the region over here, the region down here, and the region over here. Now, what I numbered them doesn't matter. I'm just trying to show you that when they create an X like this, it really creates 4 different regions. So the region 1 is shaded by this line, but not that one. Region 3 is shaded by this line, but not that one. But region 4, that's where they all fit together. So that puts T as the correct answer for there, because we are trying to answer the very important question, why was the student afraid of the y-intercept? So let's flip to the back. We know question 1, it is T, so I'll put a T right there and right there. Okay, I'll try to not make mistakes on this one, but we'll see. These two are already in slope-intercept form. That's a good thing for us. So we can start by graphing this one. The y-intercept is -5. The slope is 3. So we go up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, and go the opposite way too. Now this will be a solid line because it says less than or equal to. So put a solid line on that. If I plug in 0, 0, I get 0 is less than or equal to -5. This looks familiar. 0 is not less than or equal to -5. So that means the 0, 0 side is all false. So we'll shade it over this direction. Now we graph this one. The y-intercept is 2. And my slope is -1. So I go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. And this would be a shaded line. And it appears, just so you know, these don't connect at a whole number, but we don't care. We don't have to tell where these two intersect. We just have to tell what region both of them are true. So now they look at the dotted line. Again, it was dotted because we did not have an or equal to. I'll plug in 0, 0, which would be below the line. 0 is less than 2. That one is true. So I want to shade this direction on this line. So where the two of them overlap is in this bottom section. That's where it's true for both of them. So that puts B as the correct answer for number 2. So we'll put a B there and there. Okay, number 3, we've got a little more work to start with because the first equation is not in slope-intercept form. So we'll subtract 2x from both sides, giving us 3y is less than -2x plus 6. Now we divide everything by 3. We get y is less than -2/3 x plus 2. So I'll go ahead and graph that one first. The y-intercept is +2. The slope is -2/3, so I go down 2 over 3, down 2 over 3. I go up 2 left 3, up 2 left 3. And this will be dotted because it does not have an or equal to part. Let's try 0, 0. 0 is less than 2. That's true. So we'll shade below this line. So we've got this one covered. Now let's do this one. Its y-intercept is -2. Its slope is +2. So we go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and so on. And this will be a dotted line. And we can try 0, 0 again. We get 0 is less than -2. Not true. 0 is not less than -2. So 0, 0 is false for the line we just drew. So you need to shade it over on this side. So where the two of them are both true is in this bottom section where we see the letter N. So for question 3, letter is N. Okay, and if I'm going too fast, feel free to pause so you can catch up with me. Here, we need to divide everything by -2 to get it in slope-intercept form. Now, because I divided by a negative number, I have to flip the inequality sign to be greater than. And I'll have negative 5 halves x, and negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. So this one has a y-intercept of 2. Its slope is negative 5 halves, so I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 2. Okay, in dotted line, because there's no or equal to. 0, 0, we can test that. We get 0 is greater than 2. That's false. So the 0, 0 side is not true, so I'll shade over this way. Okay, this one we need to subtract x from both sides to get it in slope-intercept form. So we get y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 6. This one has a y-intercept of 6, slope of negative 1. So I go down 1 over 1, over and over. Go up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1. And this one will be a solid line because it does have an or equals to. Okay, so I'll try 0, 0 in this one. Tells me 0 is greater than or equal to 6. That's not true. So 0, 0 is false for this for the solid line, so we'd shade above it, which means this area right here is where we shade it in. And we shaded in the letter Y. So for number 4, we put a Y. Oh, and now we're on the back. Okay. So let's start by putting these in slope-intercept form. Okay, I'm going to add the 2y over to this side and subtract the 5x over here, give me negative 5x plus the 6. So I added the 2y over there and subtracted the 5x over here. Now I divide everything by 2. Give me y is greater than or equal to negative 5 halves x plus 3. So this one has a y-intercept of 3, slope of negative 5 halves, so we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 2, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 2, and we can do the same thing here, go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 2. This will be a solid line because it has or equals to with it. And if we try 0, 0, we get 0 is greater than or equal to 3, which is not true. So the 0, 0 side is false. So we'll shade this side. Okay, so for this equation, we need to subtract 2x from both sides. So I get negative y is greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 5. Then, because I had to have a positive y, I divide everything by negative 1, which makes this a positive y. Since I divided by a negative, I have to flip the inequality sign. Negative 2 divided by negative 1 is positive 2. 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5. Slope, the y-intercept is negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And our slope is 2, so we go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Keep going that direction. Draw a solid line through it. So we're looking at this line this time, and we'll try plug in 0, 0. We get 0 is less than or equal to negative 5. That's false. So we don't want to shade on the 0, 0 side because it's false. So instead, we'll shade on this side of the line. So it's in this area where we see the letter S that they are both true. So on number 5, we put an S. Okay, I know this is going for a pretty long time. I'm going to solve these for that's what I'm going to say, sorry. I'm going to solve these for the slope-intercept form and then just show you the graph answers so this doesn't go crazy long. Because I think by now you got a good picture of what's going on. So here we'd subtract 3x from both sides and divide everything by 2. So we get y is less than negative 3 halves x plus 2. This one, we'd add x to both sides, dividing by 3. So we get y is greater than 1/3 x plus 3. And this one, when you solve it, it will look like this. Sorry. So it gets shaded up here in the upper left, which is where we have the letter G. So we go down here to number 6 and put in a G. Okay, number 7, I need to subtract 5x over, so I get negative 4y is greater than or equal to negative 5x plus 4. Divide everything by negative 4, forcing me to flip the inequality sign. I get positive 5/4 x minus 1. On this one, we subtract 2x from both sides. And divide everything by 3, giving us y is greater than negative 2/3 x plus 3. So when you graph those and shade it, it'll be over on the far right side that we get shaded. If you need to pause, look at that, feel free. So it's the u that we use for number 7. And we're down to our last one. Here we divide everything by negative 2, forcing us to flip the inequality sign. And I'm going to put the 4x first. So 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2x. 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. And on this one, we just need to subtract 2x from both sides. That's not so hard. Y is less than negative 2x plus 1. Since it's the final one, I'll go ahead and graph this one. It's a little bit different than the others anyway, as you'll see. Y-intercept of negative 5. Slope of negative 2, so we go down 2 over 1. Up to left 1. And this would be a dotted line. If I plug in 0, 0, I get 0 is greater than negative 5. False. Man, I'm having trouble with these inequalities. At least I caught it before I shaded anything. So we're going to try to hurry. 0 is greater than negative 5 is true. So we would shade on the 0, 0 side because that's true. Okay, so that covers this line. Check. This one has a y-intercept of 2. My word, I must be tired. There's a y-intercept of 1, which I did put it in the right place. The slope is negative 2, so we go down 2 over 1. Up to left 1. And these end up being parallel lines. Now, if we were talking about inequalities, we'd say there's no solution. But we can have a solution. I'm afraid I said the wrong word. If this was equations, we'd say no solution is never touch. But with inequalities, they still can overlap in the regions. So if I plug in 0, 0 here, I get 0 is less than 1, which is true. So I shade below this line. So it's between the two of them that we end up with the mega shading. Which means E is our final letter. And she thought she'd be, oh, I forgot the B here. She thought she'd be stung by the bee. Ha! Because y equals mx plus b. The b is the y-intercept. You're welcome.